The harsh truth about getting rich is that most people will never get there, not because it's impossible, but because they're addicted to the very habits that guarantee staying broke. If you clicked on this video hoping for a motivational fairy tale, let me stop you right now. This is not a feel-good story. It's the reality that 90% of people refuse to face. The reason most people never build wealth isn't bad luck, lack of opportunity, or the government. It's their mindset, their choices, and their discipline. And unless you face these truths head-on, you will continue to live paycheck to paycheck, wondering why life feels unfair while a small percentage of people move further and further ahead. The first truth is that getting rich takes ruthless discipline. People want the reward, but they don't want the sacrifice. They want financial freedom while spending every weekend partying, every weekday scrolling, and every paycheck wasted on things they don't need. Wealth is built by people who choose long-term gains over short-term pleasures. If you can't say no to distractions, you've already said no to success. That's why the majority stays broke. They think discipline is too harsh, when in reality, discipline is the only freedom. Another truth most people hate to hear is that no one is coming to save you. Not your boss, not your parents, not the government. If you're waiting for the world to hand you success, you've already lost. The rich understand that no one owes them anything. They take full responsibility for every dollar earned, every skill learned, every risk taken. Meanwhile, the broke blame others, complain about unfairness, and waste years waiting for a miracle. That's why they never escape their situation. The third truth is that money follows value, not time. The poor are stuck selling their hours, thinking that working harder automatically means earning more. But the wealthy know it's not about hours worked, it's about leverage. They build skills that can't be easily replaced. They start businesses, create systems, or invest in assets that work while they sleep. 90% of people never take this step. They settle for comfort instead of growth. They spend their lives building someone else's dream because building their own feels too risky. That's why they stay broke, because they're too afraid to take the very risks that could free them. Let me give you another uncomfortable truth. Your circle matters more than your talent. If you spend your time around people who complain, waste money, and accept mediocrity, you will absorb those habits. Success is contagious, but so is failure. Rich people intentionally surround themselves with winners, people who challenge them, people who push them forward. Broke people surround themselves with excuses. They prefer comfort over accountability. That's why they never rise above their environment. And finally, the most brutal truth of all, getting rich is boring. It's not the flashy lifestyle you see on social media. It's not fast cars, designer clothes, and endless vacations. Those are the results, not the process. The process is years of relentless work, consistency, and delayed gratification. It's waking up early when no one is watching. It's saving when everyone else is spending. It's investing when others are wasting. The reason 90% of people stay broke is because they want excitement, not discipline. They want shortcuts, not systems. They want luck, not responsibility. And until they change those desires, nothing else will change. The harsh truth is that wealth is available to anyone who is willing to embrace the discipline, the responsibility, and the long-term mindset it requires. But the majority will never do it. They will watch videos like this, nod their heads, and then go back to their old habits. The real question is, will you be part of the 10% who stop making excuses and finally take control of your financial future? Because if you do, wealth isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But if you don't, then the harsh truth is this: you will stay exactly where you are, broke, frustrated, and wondering why life never gave you a chance, when in reality, you simply never gave yourself one. The truth about why 90% of people stay broke goes even deeper than bad habits and poor choices. It's about comfort zones. Most people would rather stay in a familiar struggle than step into the unknown. They fear failure so much that they never even try. They convince themselves that stability is safer than risk, but what they don't realize is that the so-called safe path of a steady paycheck is often the most dangerous trap of all. It keeps you just comfortable enough to never break free, but never secure enough to actually build wealth. You stay in the cycle of bills, rent, and debt, living for the weekend, hoping for a raise that never comes. That's the quiet poison that kills ambition in most people's lives. And then there's another harsh truth. People are addicted to instant gratification. They want everything now. They want the car, the phone, the clothes, even if it means going into debt for it. Rich people delay gratification, broke people chase it. The wealthy use money as a tool, the poor use money as entertainment. One buys assets, the other buys liabilities. And the saddest part is that most broke people actually know this deep down, but they refuse to change because discipline feels like suffering, while spending feels like pleasure. But pleasure today often means pain tomorrow, and discipline today means freedom tomorrow. That's the trade-off. That's the trade-off that most people refuse to make, and it's why the cycle repeats itself generation after generation. Wealth isn't about luck. It's about consistently choosing the uncomfortable over the comfortable, the long-term over the immediate, and growth over complacency. The problem is most people avoid discomfort at all costs. They avoid confrontation, avoid failure, avoid effort, and avoid learning. And every time they do, they reinforce the habits that guarantee staying broke. Let's break it down even further. Another truth few people accept is that failure is not the enemy and action is. Most people are terrified of failing, so they never try at all. They think wealth requires perfection from the start, so they wait for the right moment, the perfect opportunity, or the magic idea. But here's the reality. The rich don't wait. They start, they fail, they learn, and they adapt. Every failure is a step forward, a lesson that compounds into eventual success. Meanwhile, the 90% sit frozen in fear, letting opportunities pass them by, forever blaming timing or circumstances. Then there's the brutal truth about education and knowledge. Most people believe school or degrees will make them rich. That's a comforting lie. Education gives you knowledge, but wealth requires applied knowledge. Knowing how to invest, how to market, how to sell, how to leverage systems, these are skills that school rarely teaches. The rich seek knowledge relentlessly, but not for the sake of learning. They seek it to act, to build, to create. The broke might read the same books, watch the same videos, but they stop at consumption, never applying what they learn. And let's not forget time, the most precious resource. Most people trade their time for money without realizing its true value. They think working 50, 60, 70 hours a week will make them wealthy. It doesn't. It only makes them tired, stressed, and trapped in someone else's system. The wealthy don't work more hours, they work smarter, building systems, investing in assets, creating leverage. Money works for them while they sleep, the broke. They trade their life for dollars, and every day that passes, they lose not just money, but freedom. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth about mindset. Most people stay broke because they see wealth as something external, not internal. They think rich people are lucky, born with advantages, or morally entitled to what they have. They fail to understand that wealth is a mindset first, a result second. You don't just want money, you need to think like the people who earn it. You need to believe in your own capability, embrace responsibility, and accept that discomfort is part of the process. If you're unwilling to think differently, nothing in your circumstances will change. And finally, the harshest truth: society is not designed to make you rich, it's designed to keep you spending. From the moment you're born, ads, social pressure, and convenience trap you into consumerism. The broken system makes staying broke easier than getting rich. But here's the silver lining: if you can see the trap, you can escape it. Awareness is the first step, action is the next, and discipline is the bridge. So, here's the bottom line: getting rich is not glamorous. It's not fast, it's not easy, it's uncomfortable, boring, and relentless. But it's possible if you are willing to face the truth, take full responsibility, delay gratification, surround yourself with winners, and embrace disciplined action. If you do this consistently, over time, the world bends in your favor. If you don't, the 90% trap tightens around you, and nothing, no luck, no miracle, no external savior will save you. The question now isn't whether wealth is possible, it's whether you are willing to pay the price. Will you continue living in excuses, distractions, and temporary pleasures? Or will you join the 10% who embrace the grind, the discomfort, and the discipline that lead to true freedom? Because here's the truth that no one tells you. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the only path to freedom and the only guarantee of wealth. If you're ready to face that reality, then you're no longer average. You're no longer part of the 90%. You're starting the journey to becoming unstoppable. And that journey begins with one choice: to stop blaming, stop waiting, and start building.